Hola, folks. Happy rainy Catterday from Canada here. Okay, so we are halfway through July, and I was just going to touch on these guys a bit. So, very interesting what they did here. Basically, these heroes, if you've been around the game for a while, you know that they're not the greatest. The entire 5 stars just aren't the greatest. Some of the 4 stars are handy, which is really cool. But yeah, they've been, now a couple years ago when they first released this, some of these were handy. But they are so far past being handy now because of all the different events and different heroes of the month they've put out and that sort of thing. So here's what they did here. They have no intention of buffing them like they need to buff them. They just did this guy in a variant, which means next year probably the whole lot of them will have variants, which is too bad because they really need to be buffed to make them usable and to be balanced, and they're not going to do it. SG's not going to do it. They're just going to see if people will chase costumes. The variant suits. I don't think I'm ever going to change that from my EMP days. All right, so let's look at, this is what he is without the variant. So let's look at this for a bit. Make some waves. Not bad stats on him, really. Hudson was probably the one that people chased a few years ago. And that was because he was, I wouldn't say a stellar red, but he was definitely better than the vanillas, and there just wasn't that much variety out there in reds, and season 2 wasn't here and that sort of thing. So 245 damage to the target and minor damage to nearby enemies. Not terrible, but again, compared to what's out there now, not great. Red definitely got to be the worst color going there for quite a while. Now they introduced Ayumi, and they've put out some buff dispellers in red to counteract her counterattack, which is good. And he's one of them through the suit. Target nearby enemies receive 282 damage over 3 turns. That's great if the other team doesn't have a cleanser. There's lots of cleansers out there, so this might not come into play. If the target has armor, deals all damage instantly instead. Okay, that's neat, actually. Especially if you're hitting somebody like Unicorn that does all that damn armor on herself. So that part is a bonus. Maybe it should be separate, like a 3rd tier to his special, but anyway, let's look at the variant suit. Alright, so you can see the stats are a bit better. Defense is probably a bit lower. Yeah, defense is a bit lower. And of course, different class. So he's recon class now. And he's called Splat Masters Frontman. So the Splat Masters, what the heck? Okay, that's funny. Oh goodness. So 300 damage to the target nearby enemies. So that's upped quite a bit. 60%. I'm never gonna get over that name. Splatmaster sounds awesome. How do I join? Okay, so deals 165 additional damage against armor. Not bad. The target nearby enemies get minus 28% charge generation for 3 turns. So that's awfully handy for sure. And then removes buffs from the target and nearby enemies, so definitely can take care of that counterattack. And they released the Zidane suit with that as well, so that's good. So who is the other one? There's another one that was released. That's a red buff dispeller too. I can't remember if it was Dune. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I remember seeing one recently, so if you're looking to do pulls on this, you know, I kind of hope you get the Hudson variant out of everything. Okay, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on these guys. Wade can sure be handy. A speed weapon helps him. Like, his defenses and health are not that great, though. So if he was one of the only purple options for you and you want to put some, you have demolitions emblems to put on him, you definitely want to buff up his health and defense a bit there. And I know he's an attacker, and I usually say that, but these are kind of low. These are low for a 5-star, so 270 damage to target nearby enemies. There's so many purple options out there that this guy definitely gets overshadowed. He's not terrible by any means. The additional damage when hitting a target with status ailments is nice. So, you know, if you hit with a defense down, say you just hit with Marina and you get this guy going, there's another 60 additional damage to that, so that's awesome. Rubber duck minions, I don't have a problem getting rid of them whenever I face these guys, because a lot of them do the rubber duck minions. So I don't consider them much of a buff to the specials myself. The minions targets get minus 60 attack for 3 turns when it hits them, and that's cool. So yeah, I mean, there's Hypernova now, there's Unicorn, there's, you know, a lot of different purples. There's Ramhorn that helps take care of minions now. I think there's a lot of different purples that people would pick as an option before him. But yeah, definitely if you're a free-to-play or a cheap-to-play player and you land some of these guys and they'll work in your roster, I mean, by all means, level them up, right? So, Guppy. Sensational Scuba Splasher. Triple S threat. So 210 damage to all enemies. The slow is a huge drawback. Increases the duration of buffs on all allies by 2 turns. That's cool. But, I mean, when's this guy gonna go off? Right? Like, with the 38 slow. Speed weapon will help, and you'll be the low-end average at 43. But yeah, some of these heroes now, especially with how fast some of the Season 2 ones are that shouldn't be fast, pretty much overshadow these guys so much, and they can hit 2 or 3 times, especially if you're getting crap bored, before a hero like this will charge up for you, right? So it's getting harder and harder to use the slow ones, especially when, you know, like Douchefish and Hypernova have no reason to be fast, and they should be more slow like these ones, so it balances out a bit more, but we're just not going to see that happen. All blues get 64 attack for 3 turns, so that's pretty cool in a blue stack. Again, not a terrible special, but compared to what's out there, not great by any means. It really isn't. Okay. Delphine, 49 average, so 50 will make her high-end average. Actually, it's 58, so 9-point speed weapon, which is the Inksplosion, I do believe. So you could actually make her fast. Deep Sea Diver. 200% damage to all enemies. Not terrible, not great. Increases the duration of status ailments on all enemies by 2 turns. You know, if they were a cleanser, or they did some armor, or if there was just something else added to their specials, I think some of these guys would be okay. Her stats are terrible, though. Wow. Look at how low those are. Yeesh. Probably why we don't really see her. I can't remember the last time I seen her in anybody's lineup, to be quite honest. And again, these weren't so bad a few years ago, but now they're totally overshadowed. Alright, so Hannah Lee, this is another one that is in need badly of some buffs, and she's not going to get them. Now, she should be fast. This is a special that should be fast to actually make it helpful for the team. So I do have her, and I did have the emblems, so she's emblemed up and leveled in the whole bit because I just could not get yellows a few years ago, and it's not improved, to be quite honest. But I don't do too many pulls, right? So there's always a color the system shorts you on too, so it is what it is. I do like the increase the duration of buffs, which is good. So if I use her with somebody like Blunderbud and Logan, the attack up will stick around for a couple extra turns. A rubber duck minion for the caster and nearby allies, so that can help them keep alive a little bit longer, which is cool. The minions targets get minus 60 attack for 3 turns when it hits them. That's cool. All allies get 180 attack for 3 turns. That's cool too. However, how often is she going to go off when she's 36 and slow? So I can put I'll just show you for comparison purposes. Because she's in my lineup here. I can put a Ragnarok on her. Oh, I didn't put any emblems on her. Okay, I thought I had. But yeah, you see by my roster, like Jackie, Nima, Stinger, Hush. She's like my 5th yellow 5-star in 4 years that's up this high. And then I got a couple more down here. 2nd Stinger and Kurgan. Like that's one color that I just can't seem to get the 5 stars for, so. Alright. I could put some on her, but I don't. What do I have? 199. Yeah. I don't know. I use her a lot in wars, just because, we're against purple and yellows a lot. But since I got Jackie, that's her use has dropped because I got Jackie, so don't regret it at the time leveling her up, because it just that's what I had. So oops, going in the wrong spot here. Alright, so we didn't cover Alana yet, so I'll try and be quick at this because, like I say, I think it's a general feeling across the community that they're not the greatest heroes and probably the worst event heroes right now. So okay, wow, so her defenses aren't too bad, but look at that health. That's terrible health. So if you were gonna use her, definitely go health route when you get to your emblems part. 210 damage to the target nearby enemies is kind of meh. It's really not great. Rubber duck minion for the caster and nearby allies, again with the 8%, so they're not too hard to get rid of. And the minus 60 attack for 3 turns when it hits them, a minion's target, so that's alright. At least she's 48 average, so, but there's only 1 green speed weapon and it's only got 6 points on it, I think. Would make her high-end average if you had it, because she only needs to get to 50, so. Caster and nearby allies caster and nearby allies get plus 28 critical chance for 3 turns, so that's not bad. She probably wouldn't be a terrible war machine hitter if you had her, but yeah, we just don't see these heroes too much in combat. Okay, the 4 stars aren't that bad, I don't find at all. So I would actually like a copy of this guy. I don't think I have any copies. So he's fast, 270 damage to target and minor damage to nearby enemies, increases the duration of status ailments on the target and nearby enemies by 2 turns. Because I don't find that there's a heck of a lot of great blues, especially 4 stars. And you look at the vanilla ones, that they're just, at this point with all the event heroes and stuff that we have now, the vanilla ones aren't that great to use. And they don't have a variant suit yet for Kayla or Hollow Pointless, so... I mean, Tori is still the best for sure, but this guy's not too bad. Defenses are definitely low though. I wouldn't mind a copy just to try him out, and I don't have that much variety in blue 4-stars myself, so... Alright, so Finley, low on defenses. Nah, the health isn't that great either. 95% damage to the target, so he's sniper. 60% damage when hitting a target with status ailments. Oh, well, that's alright. I know there's people out there that like this guy too and use him quite a bit. The duck minions is meh to me anyway. And then another one where you get the minus 60 attack for 3 turns when it hits them. I don't know, he seems like he'd be an alright War Machine hitter. On a red War Machine, yeah. He's a beach shark. That's funny. Yeah, so he might be, I know 3 or 4 people that actually do use him quite a bit. So if you did get him up to where he's got talents, you definitely want to buff up that defense, because wow, that's low. Probably a mixture of all 3, but if you concentrated on defenses. Koa. Alright, so he's slow. I do have a copy of him, and I did emblem him up because I had a ton of demolition emblems at the time. And I pretty much used him for tournaments and 4-star events and that. The slow is sure a drawback. It is. I still like using him, especially with Foxtrot. It's like a 1-2 punch, right? And she comes along and hits 3 more after this guy hits everybody. So, and the burn damage is pretty cool to have on there. And the minus 80 attack is great. However, you gotta keep him alive with that slow. So a speed weapon does help him. He only needs 6 points to get to 43. So a Tigger will help him for events and the tourneys. So I personally do like using him. I know a lot of people would probably not bother since he's slow, but for me he works in my roster, so. Alright, I just got a copy of this guy in my alt account. So I haven't done any pulls here on this one in my main account, and I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to wait until October, see what comes out then. But yeah, I'm so far behind on, well, not that I'm trying to keep up with the ones that spend here, because I'm not, but I would just like some more variety in my alt account, so I did do some pulls there, and I managed to land this guy, which is I'm really happy about, which is good. So he's already average. Speed weapon won't get him to 58 because it's only 6 point anyway, but at least he's high end average, so that's a good thing. 235 damage to the target nearby enemies. For a 4-star. That's good, actually. So the rubber duck minion and the minus 60 attack for 3 turns when it hits them. So I'll know a bit more when I get him leveled up. I don't know if I have sentry class for him, but talents for him. But I am glad to have that variety, because I definitely think he'll be handy in that roster for me for tourneys and events and that. So his stats don't look terrible by any means. So yeah, I'm excited to try and use them anyway. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Alright, that's it. So the 4-stars look pretty good. These guys, to me. Maybe I'll land a copy of Mancani one day. But yeah, overall, there's just a general sense in the community that these guys aren't the greatest, but they'll definitely... You'll see them next year with more variant suits, because they're not really trying to buff and nerf anybody to make it balanced anymore. They're just going to release variant suits. I think they've made that painfully clear. Unfortunately, so. Alright, folks, so that's just a quick rundown of those guys. And yeah, if you can stave off, because you don't really need to add any more heroes to your roster, maybe keep them till October and see what happens. And if there's nothing there that appeals to you, then keep them for Christmas and try and get Krampus. Alrighty, everybody, happy Catterday!